I got caught up in that.
Can't stop now.
Oh my God!
I know, we're beautiful.
Hey, don't worry, I got two frogs. Oh my God! I got this side. Move in closer. All right, and I still can't see the guy. Hey, who's hiding in the back there? No hiding. Come up forward here. Come up forward. I love it. Now wait, nobody move. I'm gonna do it in color. Wait, one more time, just like that. Okay, let me get my other camera. I'll be right there.
Slowly, that would be great.
I want to bring down in the end.
Smile. Wait, I'll make you smile. I'll tickle you. Ah, let's tickle Colter. Let's tickle Colter. Okay.
No, here.
At the lady, dear. At the camera.
No, I don't want to be.
Look at her. Say hello.
folks. How you doing, Bubby? Yeah, he's doing terrific. Just waiting to the building.
Yeah, it's the youngest, right?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Senator Kennedy, Congressman Torkelson, Governor Peabody, Senator Berry, Representative Ruane. My name is Neil Harrington, and I'm pleased and proud as Mayor of the City of Salem to welcome you to this ceremony today. I bring greetings on behalf of my fellow local elected officials, in particular the Salem City Council, which is well represented here today, and the Salem Redevelopment Authority as well. What you're witnessing here today, in my opinion, is the quintessential example of how a public-private effort to address a regional need, that is, to bolster our tourist-related economy, can pay off with huge dividends when talented and dedicated people unite in a common cause. There is credit galore to be shared today, but I will not take much of your time in listing the names of the people who played a role, large or small, in bringing today's opening to fruition. However, for those of you who do remember the trauma inflicted on this city during those fateful days of 1982, when two major fires, including the one which gutted a portion of this building, left a scar on our downtown, I'm proud to state that the wound has now been healed, and the city is grateful to everyone who helped make this day a reality. So welcome to Salem, and let's celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Senator Kennedy, Congressman Torkelson, General Ambrose, our other honored and distinguished guests, particularly the representatives of Essex County towns. As Superintendent of Salem Maritime National Historic Site, I have the honor of welcoming you to our newest facility. Exactly 80 years ago today, even to the exact moment, Salem suffered the worst disaster in its history. On June 25th, 1914, between noon and 1 p.m., a fire began in Blubber Hollow that swept across the city, destroying everything in its way. 22 neighboring cities and towns came to Salem's aid to stop the fire before the whole city was consumed. In saving Salem, those neighboring towns were also saving their common past. Because what began here in 1626 was not just one small town, but a regional and a national history that is evident throughout the extraordinary cultural landscape that has been called Essex County since 1643. It is to the preservation of that cultural landscape that this facility is dedicated. This is the first piece of a county-wide system of visitor centers that will help guide visitors and residents through 400 years of American history. This is a new mission for us at Salem Maritime and for the National Park Service as a whole. And we hope that 80 years from now, when people think of June 25th, they will think not of the fire of 1914, but of the day that the cities and towns of Essex County again joined forces, this time with the National Park Service, not to fight a fire, but to cast a light on a story that's important to all Americans. Our primary partner in this effort is the Essex Heritage Commission. The chairman of that commission is Tom Leonard.
Senator Kennedy, Congressman Torkelson, distinguished guests. On behalf of all of the members of the Salem Partnership and the commissioners of the Essex Heritage Ad Hoc Commission, it is with a great deal of pleasure that I lend my words of congratulations to the National Park Service and the Peabody Essex Museum on the opening of this new regional visitor center. As chairman of the Salem Partnership, I am privileged to represent a large group of dedicated Salem business people who have worked long and hard to see this day come to fruition. When the partnership was established in 1987, we chose as our primary initiative a strategy to enhance the relationship between the City of Salem and the Salem Maritime Historic Site. Over the 7 years that have passed since the creation of the partnership, There are literally dozens of people from both Salem and the extended region that now includes all of Essex County who have made important contributions to bring us to today's events. I would be remiss if I did not mention the late Superintendent Cynthia Pollock, whose original vision and outlook for the maritime site, the city of Salem, and Essex County were so very important to the success we have collectively achieved. Cynthia was most important to this effort, and we are pleased to be participating in this event today, which will honor that contribution. There have been many at the National Park Service in both Boston and Washington that have worked closely with all of us, and we issue a joint congratulatory wish on this momentous occasion for the National Park Service. It would also be inappropriate not to mention the particular commitments of certain National Park Service employees like Dennis Galvin, Marie Rust, Terry Savage, Bob McIntosh, and of course the present superintendent, Steve Kesselman, who pulled all the final pieces together. During the life of the Salem Partnership and our relationship with the National Park, the Salem Partnership has been blessed with 3 energetic and enthusiastic executive directors. Without their commitment and support for this project, the results which you view here today would at the very least have been delayed. We thank Maureen Johnson, Maura Smith, and our present executive director, Annie Harris, for all of their tireless commitments to the corporate goals of the Salem Partnership. We also want to congratulate and thank the executive board of the Peabody Essex Museum, who joined with the Park Service to make this project possible. Executives from the Peabody Essex Museum visited Washington with us on many occasions to help advance this initiative. A particular note of thanks to Mr. Richard Wheatland, Chairman of the Board of Overseers, and Mr. Randy Barton, Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Museum, who were always ready to speak for this project whenever it was necessary. The contributions of our federal, state, and local officials have also been very essential to this effort. We publicly wish to thank all of those on the platform today who have been supportive. Thank you, Senator Kennedy, Representative Torgelson, Senator Berry, Representative Ruane, Mayor Harrington, your administration, the City Council, the Redevelopment Authority, and all who have helped in this county-wide project. In closing, as the chairman of the Essex Heritage Ad Hoc Commission, I want to thank all of the commissioners and supporters from around Essex County who joined together today to help make this an event a regional effort. On Tuesday, Annie Harris, Tom Costin, the former mayor of Lynn, and I will journey to Washington, where we will testify in support of federal legislation filed by Congressman Torgelson and Senator Kennedy. This legislation would allow for the formation of a permanent commission and would establish Essex County as a federal district. This hearing before Congress, which will be held on Tuesday, will be another step to bring a regional focus to the tourist activities in this region. Essex County is rich in history and tradition, and we are confident that this rich tradition can be enhanced, preserved, and interpreted by the National Park Service when we receive our final approval on the legislation filed by the Congressman and the Senator. Once again, thank you all for your participation and your support. Without your help this day, which will help take Essex County into the next millennium as a major tourist resource in the Northeast region of the United States, none of this would have been possible. Thank you all very much.
I'm happy to introduce State Senator Fred Berry.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests and the Guinea Vicky, Mayor Michael Wayne. I worked with Mike for 11, 12 years on this, and it truly is a magnificent day for the representative. I think we should give him a big round of applause. I would like to echo a lot of the sentiments that have already been given. And this is truly a great day for Salem. Mayor Harrington and the partnership has worked tirelessly to make this happen. But I think we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the role Senator Kennedy played in this. A lot of politicians in these days make promises, and somehow we feel gypped because they don't follow through. Well, this man over here on my right has followed through. He has delivered the bacon. He has delivered the mail. He's the guy. I think of this, I see this as a wonderful coalition of the whole tourism district of the North Shore. But I see jobs, and I see job opportunity for the next 40 years for all of you people out here. And that's what matters. That's what being a Democrat is all about. Thank you.
Representing the Director of the National Park Service is Robert McIntosh of the North Atlantic Regional Office.
Good morning, Senator Kennedy, Congressman Torkelson, Mayor Harrington. It's my pleasure to represent Director Kennedy of the National Park Service and Marie Russ, the Regional Director of the North Atlantic Region, in the official part of this ceremony where we will pass the papers. I know you all have been through one aspect of that before, and the nervousness as you approach the table. Are all the documents signed and everything in order? I want to tell you that the attorneys for the seller, the attorneys of Serafini, and Darling, have certified that everything is in order. I want to tell you that the attorney for the U.S. Department of the Interior, who works for a wholly owned subsidiary of the U.S. Department of Justice, has over a month or a few months of time certified that everything is in order. So we are proud to have you witness today the first purchase of a condominium by the United States of America. Representing the buyer in this respect, this afternoon, is Mr. Dan Sakura, Special Assistant to the Assistant Secretary for Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, the U.S. Department of the Interior. Dan?
Thank you. On behalf of the Secretary of the Interior, Bruce Babbitt, and the Assistant Secretary of the Interior, George T. Frampton Jr., I'd like to thank Senator Kennedy, Representative Torkelson, Mayor Harrington, distinguished visitors and guests for your support today. As you all know, the Department of the Interior is a department for all 50 states, not just the western states. And as someone who grew up here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I recognize that protecting, preserving, and interpreting our historical resources makes for a better standard of life for all the residents of the Commonwealth, and it also helps to improve the economy. The principal mission, as you all know, of the Park Service, one of the principal missions is to preserve and protect our cultural resources. And the Park Service has determined that the Salem Maritime Park and the associated historical resources in Essex County are of truly national significance. We've also realized that this is a tremendous example of a partnership between the federal government, the state of Massachusetts, and local officials. And on behalf of the Secretary of the Interior, I'd like to follow through on the federal side of this partnership and present to Mr. Dan Monroe of the Peabody Essex Museum a check for $3.1 million. He gets the check, I get the deed.
I'll hold on to the check. This is a wonderful day for all of us. We're delighted to get this check, I can tell you, and so are our bankers. It's just a wonderful spirit to see everybody here and enjoying themselves and having such a wonderful time celebrating a real accomplishment. You know, Carl Jung once said that man needs difficulties, they're necessary for health. And if that's true, then I can tell you that if you look on this stand, you can see one bunch of mighty healthy people. Because this project was challenging. It required vision and dedication and a tremendous amount of hard work by lots of people that hadn't worked together before. The Park Service, the museum, the city, the state, the partnership, and many others. And I guess the real test is, look at this. And we can't recognize everyone that made it possible for all of this to happen today by naming them, but I do want to, on behalf of the museum, extend our special thanks to Senator Kennedy, because without his leadership, combined with the assistance of others from our delegation, we wouldn't have had this check or this facility. And I'd like to just end by saying that it'd be wonderful if we make this day not just a celebration of an ending, but a celebration of a beginning of what we can do working together, because we've proven the results. And I want to thank all of you that made this happen for all of your efforts. Thank you very, very much.
It is now my honor and privilege to introduce to you the congressman from this district, one who in the few years in office has lent his shoulder in support to this project, and we look forward to his continued support. Congressman Peter Torkelson.
Thank you very much. Senator and Mrs. Kennedy, Mayor Harrington, Mayor Mary Claire Kennedy from Lawrence, who's also here with us today, and distinguished friends. It's a great moment to be here, and I too want to extend thanks to a few of the people who have made this happen. Certainly Senator Kennedy on the Senate side did a great job. I also think it's only fitting to thank former Congressman Nicholas Mavroulis for what he did, getting this money through the House. And while there are so many people on the local level who contributed to making this happen, one I want to single out again, and that's Cynthia Pollock. Sometimes a lot of energy can go into a project, but if somebody doesn't have an idea or a vision or a hope, it never gets started. And Cynthia really added that. This I see as sort of a first step in what I hope will be a very productive celebration of the history of Essex County. And yet we all owe a debt of gratitude to Cynthia Pollock, because I don't think it would have happened without the vision that she had and the energy that she put into this process. As was mentioned, there's an ongoing battle in Washington, D.C., as Senator Kennedy will know. A lot of people in Washington think the National Park Service starts west of the Mississippi, and we have to keep telling them no, that's not the case. That indeed, national parks are very much a key part of what happens here on the East Coast. Urban parks are a key way to celebrate and remember the history of our country. And we are blessed here in Essex County and in Salem with such a rich history, almost beyond comparison to so many places. That's why the center here today is an important first step. The legislation that we'll have a hearing on Tuesday, and I kid you not when I say it took over a year just to get a commitment for a hearing for that legislation, but that legislation will be an important next step in that process to let people know about just what Essex County has contributed to our country and what it continues to contribute today as well. We're continuing that effort, that ongoing celebration of history, because history is not something confined to textbooks. It's something to be celebrated. It's something to enjoy and live. The excitement of the video that's here, if you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you all to do so as soon as you can, to see what it means for history to come alive. For those from the USS Constitution and the others who have come out today to help make that history come alive. That is what history is all about. That is why this tourist center is so important to help promote that. And certainly we all like the economic benefits of that as well, because that increased celebration will lead to increased tourism, and that's going to be a win for all of us in the economy. The final point I want to make is just the nature of what brought us here today to begin with. Right now we are facing a lot of troubled times in Washington. We have a lot more objectives that we'd like to fund than we have money to fund. And so for the people who made this happen, you deserve a special pat on the back for your originality. Yes, this is the first time the United States of America has ever purchased a condominium, and so your creativity in coming up with that idea was terrific. But it's also a partnership, not just government, which is federal, state, and local, but also the private sector. I mean, this is everyone working together to make it happen. As we have to marshal fewer resources with more demands, it's important to use that creativity and say, well, how can we help out? How can we make a difference? Let's do things a little bit differently. For all of you who have made that happen and have started this great celebration, thank you. You've done a terrific thing for Essex County and for the United States of America.
It's always great when a plan comes together. The plan for this weekend was put together in 10 short weeks by a number of people, too many to mention. But you should look in the Salem Evening News supplement for this event and call some of those people when you need help. They were just terrific. This project is the result of the vision of one person, my predecessor, Cynthia Pollock. Before I make the presentation, I'd like to thank her for one other thing that she left that most of you won't appreciate, but that I do, and that's the staff that she put together at Salem Maritime National Historic Site. Cynthia was a true visionary and a true hero. She had the vision to see what could be done here, and she had the heroism to force it through. And though she did not live to see all of her ideas become bricks and mortar, we will in fact be putting those things into effect over many years to come. And in recognition of that contribution, we're proud to dedicate the wonderful theater inside this building to her memory. It will be known as the Cynthia Pollock Theater. And to commemorate that, I'm very happy to present to her husband, Louis Pollock, and her children, Susan and Charlie, these replicas of the exhibit inside that commemorates Cynthia's contribution. She was a visionary. She knew there was more to Salem Maritime than historic buildings and wharves. There were stories to be told, and she wanted visitors to see, touch, and smell and feel the maritime spirit that the site embodies. It's in her memory that we dedicate this theater.
Thank you. Senator Kennedy, Mrs. Kennedy, Mayor Harrington, Representative Torkelson, other distinguished guests. I'd just like to make a few remarks, very brief. At home, Cynthia really spoke of her work. She did, however, help us understand and appreciate the moving forces in the history of our nation. She believed that the Salem Maritime represented a record of the uncommon events which compose our people's story. Cynthia was very special to her family, and it is comforting to us that you also recognize and appreciate her superlative qualities. To be recognized by one's colleagues is of the highest praise. So on behalf of my family, let me express our gratitude and our thanks for the recognition you have given Cynthia and her good works. A special thanks to her staff for their support and the joy that you brought to her. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lou. For those of us who have the privilege of knowing the classy lady that Cynthia Pollock was and the classy gentleman that her husband was, we'll never forget her. Thank you very much. Why are we here today? Suppose that's a question that could be answered in many ways. In some ways that's been touched upon by the speakers that have preceded me to the microphone. But the gentleman who is going to speak to you next, I believe, is one of the single biggest reasons we're here today. Due to his efforts, this visitor center, which is a regional resource, is going to bolster our tourist economy, create job after job throughout this area, and help continue the great partnership that has begun here in Salem and has spread throughout Essex County and the Essex Heritage Commission. Working together, as Tom Leonard said, we are going to preserve the history that permeates this part of the country, and the undaunted gentleman to my right, who has been there through every single step of the way, deserves, in my opinion, the lion's share of the credit for making this day possible. We cannot do things like this by goodwill alone. It takes teamwork and everyone pulling together. And no team can succeed without a successful captain whose leadership and tenacity in supporting the vision of Cynthia Pollock, and yes, in fighting for the money, day after day, year after year, and speaking to those who make the powerful decisions in Washington, help make this day possible. I give you the captain of our team, the senior senator from Massachusetts, Edward M. Kennedy.
Thank you very much, Mayor Harrington, and all of our very good friends here today. First of all, I would like to join with that extraordinary tribute to Cynthia Pollock. President Kennedy used to say, we can all make a difference and each of us should try. And I think for all of us here in Salem and in Massachusetts, understand that you don't have to be a member of Congress or a senator or a governor or a president to make an important difference in terms of people's lives. She did. And I think all of us who are here today will remember, and future generation will remember, a very special person that gave her love and her life and her energy to her family and to this community and for generations to come. And I join in paying that very special tribute to Cynthia Pollock. I thank Mayor Harrington and all of the accolades that were given here today. I can remember going back over so many years, every time the mayor would call, I'd say, oh my goodness, here they come, Salem's coming down again, going through the delegation over to the House, to the Senate, down to the White House. Here he comes, and I think we can, Mayor and I can remember back in 1990 when we were moving through the Congress legislation that was indispensable towards much of what we're celebrating here, and we were in the final few moments. Congressman Torkelson will get to know about this process very quickly, and I know the legislators already know about it. But we were down to the last 10 minutes, and here we had the authorizing legislation. And my good friend, Al Simpson, from the state of Wyoming, wanted to have a Buffalo Bill Cody Museum in Buffalo Bill in Cody, Wyoming. And it had something to do with reclamation out there, and it was only in the last 6 minutes that he let the whole Salem program go through. It was 2:15 in the morning, and your mayor was still standing there, or sitting there, in whatever condition, waiting for the phone call to tell you it goes through. He's been there every step of the way. He's been a good friend to me and to the people of this district, and I'm... You know, actually what we're looking forward to putting through is these heritage parks. What's happened is Salem was the example for the rest of the country. We here in Massachusetts, we here in Salem, also have enormously important assets and jewels of history that define the early colonial days, that define our maritime tradition, that define the great trades that we had with China and Asia at a different period of time, that define the beginnings of the leather and the textile industry. So much of that really anchored here in Essex County, anchored here in Salem. The first National Historic Park in 1938, Salem, Massachusetts. One of the only harbors that was able to remain open at the time of the American Revolutionary War, Salem, Massachusetts. And this community has understood it and respected it, and under the most extraordinary difficult times has come together, the public and the private, to really bring us to where we are today. You have performed an extraordinary national service. So many of these very special parts of our history and culture and heritage would not be available either today or for future generations. You have recognized these assets, not only for the preservations of the brick and mortar, but you're using these assets in the development of curriculum in the local schools to make this whole community come alive and to make education relevant and to make this whole, all future generations proud of this extraordinary tradition and to these extraordinary parts of our real heart and soul, which is a defining aspect of our values as a society. So I welcome the opportunity to join with all of you. I think all of us understand that resources are scarce, but the one fact that has been so evident here in Salem, Massachusetts, is that you have really brought the community together. We have other communities, but Salem has really done it. And what you have done has really been an inspiration for many other communities in our state. You have demonstrated great success because you have worked together. People of different interests, people of different backgrounds, people of different experiences. And because you have, this city, this community, this county is going to grow and it's going to flourish. And we have seen some of the things that we have been able to do as well in this immediate area. We have been able to, we all know the importance of the friendship, and we're going to do everything we can to continue that battle. The school children up here won't forgive us if we don't. And we were talking to Sid Yates, to the congressman. But we have seen in the recent times the development of the historic walkway in Haverhill, the preservation of the Lowell's Boat Shop in Amesbury, the oldest continuous boat shop in America, the work to sustain the Saugus Iron Works, and for any young children that haven't visited that extraordinary part of our life, I urge them to do so. So we know the assets that we have here. We know the challenges which we remain. All America is in your debt for what you have done for future generations, and I am proud to have been a part. $22 million over the period of the last 6 years, which has been matched step by step by all of those who have been a part of this project. Congratulations, well done. This celebration will not be thanks enough, but future generations owe you so much for what you have done for them, and I've been proud to be a part of this effort. Thank you. On my command. Fire!